So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys everything I know about Raphael and how to use him at a competitive level. That's going to be a really important point of emphasis for this tutorial, and that is because this character is pretty crappy if you don't use him in a certain way. The way the character is designed is really interesting because he has lots of stances, lots of moves that really suck badly, and it initially, when this game was new, I think it made everyone think, wow, Raphael sucks because he doesn't have any really outstandingly cheap moves. Though there are a couple that are good, they're really he's not complete at first glance. And let me elaborate on that. So this game is heavily based on movement and safe movement. So the most effective ways to stop that is fast tracking moves, fast A style moves. Now Raphael is completely lacking in this department. His A moves are generally much slower than the average character, and on top of that, not only do they have really poor coverage, like for example this move right here, 3-3A, the angle of this move is so high that it's just really hard to hit people even when they're standing. And there are a lot of cases like that. His coverage in terms of lateral movement is really weak. Another example of this is a simple standing A. So most characters sweep all the way across with an A, but he kind of stops right at the middle there. So if the opponent is sidestepping left, it's not going to be easy to stop them with a standing A. Of course, he has a AA, but the second hit of the AA also kind of doesn't track in the other direction. So this is a trend with this character that you'll notice. It can be really frustrating for players who are interested in this character but feel like they're not able to win at a high level. And the real reason is because, much like Nightmare, you have to basically cut the fat. You have to cut the move list and exclude tons of moves. If you do that and focus on his strengths, he's actually a much better character than I originally thought he was. So when this game was originally released 10 years ago or so, this character was a lot more, in my eyes at least, a lot shittier. But, I've matured, and one aspect in my philosophy in fighting games that I think has changed since I was younger is I'm much more willing now to spam. I'm much more willing now as an adult player to abuse something over and over, and I'm content with winning rather than at that age I was more concerned with doing what I want to do and forcing what I want to do on the opponent, like making it work. And that's kind of similar to those of you who know who Just Frame James is. He's kind of that style. And I don't really play that way that much anymore. There are times when you smell the blood in the water, and that's when you could go crazy and do all your shit. But generally speaking, I think more like, I have a more Machiavellian philosophy now when it comes to fighting games. And I think if you have that type of philosophy with this character, you can see a lot more success than you would if you don't have that philosophy with this character. So it's kind of interesting. It's not really common for a character design to... The character is designed in a way in which he can't really be played, which is kind of interesting. But that happens occasionally in fighting games. However, this character was lucky enough to be able to have a few tools that you can use. So as far as tier list goes, I've always said this is an extremely balanced game, and a lot of characters can win at a high level in this game because of the system mechanics. I used to think this character was just as bad as Yunsung, whom I still think is the worst character in the game. However, I think this character is a lot better than I used to, as I mentioned already, and I now think he's middle tier. Like, he's amongst the average characters in this game, and he can get the job done, because in a balanced game, a middle tier character can win, in a serious environment, in a tournament environment. So he's definitely viable now. A few things key moves that I think are extremely important with this character. Basically, the way I'm going to do this tutorial is I'm going to go over all the, standard stuff like throws and jump moves and things like that. And I'm going to talk about his key essential moves. Now, the moves that I talk about in this list are going to be the ones that no matter who the player is, you're going to have to use these moves and you're going to have to focus on them. If you choose to use the moves that I will later talk about in the analysis of his move list, that's all up to you. There is a lot of freedom in this game to kind of fit tactics and moves into your game that maybe another player of Raphael would think that perhaps it's not effective. So that's all up to you. But as far as his main moves go, his primary number one most important move is 6BB, as well as everything attached to it. So his 6B is an excellent jab style move. As you can see, the range on it is extremely long, and it's an extremely fast move as well. It's as fast as some characters' A's. It's not like as fast as the fastest A's in the game, like Shanghua's or Taki's, but it is as fast as some characters' A's, and it is a B, which means that it has natural advantage over an A if they clash at the same time. So this move is going to be your primary tool for turtling, spacing, keep out, counter hitting, opening up offense. Everything about this move is it's so important, and it does so many things for you with Raphael that it's essential. I mean, you have to constantly use it, and that's what I meant by spamming. If you were talking to Eris, 10 years ago, I wouldn't say he's good, because I'd say all you can do is 6B and the extensions, and so for that reason he sucks. But that's like a negative attitude. If you look at it as like the glass is half full, then you can say all you have to do is 6B and do it over and over again. So it's interesting how your mindset can really change your opinion on a character. Let me get some water. So basically, that's the interesting thing about this character. Initially, I would have said all you can do is do this shit over and over and wait till you die. But now I think, just spamming this and all the mix-ups involved and using his guard crushes and stuff is just so cheap. So 6B, as I mentioned, is the standard opener. 6BB is a natural combo. 6BBB is a natural counter hit combo, which is hit confirmable. So what you do is you use 6B just for your keep out. When you decide, okay, now I'm going to start using it for counter hits, you can use 6BB. See if you saw a red spark. A counter hit in this game will show you a red spark, as you can see there. A regular hit, no red spark. So once you see the counter hit, just do the third hit, and you're going to get 59 damage, and you can just back up and, start from scratch. If you want, you have plus frames on the third hit, and so if it's a counter hit, you can proceed with something like a down K, which I'll get into later about how it's so effective, or you can continue with a throw or whatever you want. So that's the basic use for 6BB. The first hit's like a jab in Tekken. You just kind of pester with it, keep out with it, just be a dick with it, right? 6BB, natural combo. It's kind of like his AA or BB. He doesn't really have like the generic style AA. His is a bit slow and doesn't have coverage. His BB also is a little bit slow, doesn't have the same uses as like a fast BB. So you're going to want to use his 6BB as your AA or BB. Now, once you land the counter hit, I mentioned it's a counter hit combo, so you should focus on that. And there is another aspect to this. Actually, there are several more aspects to this. So Raphael has a bunch of stances, and the stances are relatively useless, but I will mention them. And these 6B, if you hold it, you start to go into his stances. So if you do 6B, hold the B, you'll go into prep 1. If you do 6BB and hold the B, you'll go into prep 2, which is a different stance, though it looks the same. And then if you do the third hit, 6BBB, and hold that, you go into prep 3. Or that might be prep 4, actually. I forgot the names of the stances, but I'll get into them in detail later. So each stance has its own moves that go out of it, and all of those moves, not all of them, but some of those moves transition back into stances. The stances also have some mobility, but honestly, all his stances are really shitty, and when you get put into them, unless it's off of a hit, you're going to be in a situation where you're stuck. So generally, I would generally say that you don't want to be stuck in stances with Raphael. This is, again, this whole tutorial is going to go back to the initial philosophy of being very minimalistic and spamming. It's really the best way to play this character. You know, some people don't like that idea, some people don't like that style, but it's really the way to do it. And I see nothing wrong with spamming at all. If you're truly concerned with being a competitor, with being a winner, you should not have anything against spamming, unless it's an online environment where you're taking advantage of the environment. Which I think, you know, if you want to do that online, that's cool. It's the internet. Fuck it. You paid money for the game. You deserve to play it however you want. But, you know, it's not really... I don't really give a shit, basically. Who cares? It's online. Offline, you can do whatever. It's the Wild West offline. So if I want to spam, you know, you got to figure out how to deal with it, because this is a tournament and you could go fuck yourself. So that's my philosophy. And with this character, it goes a long, long way. So anyway, all of his stances, you're gonna use them on occasion, but they're not gonna be extremely important. I talked about 6BB already. Another important aspect to 6BB is that it's soul charge cancelable after the second hit. So what you do is, if it hits and it does not counter hit, you can soul charge cancel, which will give you better recovery than just doing 6BB and then holding guard. 6BB and then holding guard recovers, I think, at plus maybe 1 or so, but nothing too impressive. However, if you soul charge cancel it, you get a much smoother recovery and you can continue with your offense, like, you know, throw or whatever you want. So that's where this 6BB gets really juicy, because you do 6BB, and if it's a counter hit, you land the third hit, natural counter hit combo. If it's a normal hit, soul charge and continue. So it's almost like the opponent has to be watching to see if you counter hit or not, and they have to almost counter hit confirm it as well, because 6BBB, if it's not a counter hit, if they're not paying attention, the third hit's gonna just hit them, and it's safe. This whole string is safe. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but this whole string is safe, and the third hit is safe as well, and it has pushback too. So this is a really, really pesky move. It's high, mid, and it's safe, and the third hit also has very solid tracking for as linear as it looks. The first two hits, 6BB, also have better tracking than they look as well. They don't track, you can't step them, but this string is really basically abusable, and it's the #1 most important string for the character. So I would familiarize myself with the string completely, understand what stances it goes in and out of, as well as practice hit confirming it, and when it's a normal hit, practice doing the soul charge cancel and continue your offense with that. This is a primary component to this character's game. Other moves that you're going to want to use, so at this point you only have 6BB, and it's going to be a lot of your offense as well as keep out. Now, another aspect to your offense, of course, you're going to need lows. Now, this character is very interesting in this regard as well, because initially everyone thought that he has shitty lows. He does have a couple of pokes, like 1A. It's a little bit slow, and it does not give you a knockdown, but it's relatively safe, especially at the tip. He has 1K, functions similarly to 1A, except it hits more reliably on side rollers on the ground. But it does not recover in crouch, so it recovers standing, and that's the big difference of that move. So those are two low pokes you have, but they are not very effective as far as just being abusable lows. Other lows he has are 1-1A. It's like a faster version of 1A with no spin. This is also good for catching side roll for Okizeme because it hits on the ground. And he also has 1BB. This is a extremely linear Okizeme move, but if the first hit hits a grounded opponent, at times the second hit will be guaranteed. This low also is delayable, 1B, and then you can delay the second B. Both hits hit on the ground, but as I mentioned, as a poke, it's very linear, so you have to be cautious how you use this. As far as lows goes, those were all shitty, right? And the last one that I'm going to mention is basically his primary, most important low, and that is his generic down K. Now, originally when this game was out back in the day, people didn't realize the strength of this move. And some people used it a lot, but this is basically another scenario where you have to spam. Spamming down K is essential for this character. His down K looks very generic, but it's very, very special. Most down Ks in this game are not only not plus in terms of frame advantage on hit, they are usually minus. So you have to do something like down K and then follow up with some kind of defensive action, because offense after a down K, even on hit, generically is not common. For this character, his down K on normal hit gives what is believed to be +9 on hit. Now, I don't have the frame data for this game, and I don't remember, my memory is a little shoddy when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I remember it being +9 on hit, and being extremely, extremely important as far as your offense. So, essentially, what I mentioned earlier with 6BB, down K is extremely important partnered with this string. So 6BB normal hit, down K. After a down K connects, 6BB is uninterruptible. So this concept of down K, 6BB, down K, 6BB, soul charge, down K, 6BB, this is like really, really hard for the opponent to deal with. Down K, down K. So a down K on hit will give you an uninterruptible 6BB. It will also give you another down K, uninterruptible. So that is really, really, really good. 2 in a row are a frame trap that are very difficult to sidestep out of. And you have options to lead to his full crouch game, which, interestingly enough, is not that strong. So down K, your generic follow-ups to it are going to be down K into 6BB, down K into 6XB, down K into a jump string if they're going to retaliate with something that you think is going to work, or down K into down K, or down K into a throw. I mean, those are your main offensive options. But yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, I'm noticing Socrates in the chat mentioning +9 doesn't seem right. I think it has to be more than +7 or 8 if the second down K is going to be uninterruptible, because down K is pretty slow. This is like I don't know how fast this is, but the move itself is not like as fast as another character's A or B, but it is uninterruptible. So it's got to be plus quite a few, at least 5. I don't know what the exact data is, but it doesn't really matter. The numbers don't matter as much as the point. The point is that once you connect with this move, another down K is uninterruptible, and 6BB is uninterruptible. And that's where you branch off into all your other options, like throws or whatever. If they are sidestepping after down K, while standing A is an option if they're going to the right, or full crouch down forward AA is another option, but you might only want to use the first hit because this string does not jail. This string also has a soul charge cancel after it. Full crouch down forward AA soul charge. It's not the most effective soul charge cancel because of the second hit being high and not jailing. However, this string is a natural counter hit combo. So in the scenario that I'm mentioning right now with down K, if you do down K and then full crouch down forward AA, that will be a frame trap in which if it counter hits, you can do the second hit, and then you can do soul charge cancel, and then you can start your offense again. So this is another thing that will tie into his offense. So down K, full crouch 3 AA, hit counter hit confirmed, soul charge cancel, down K. These are all like looping strings of moves that you can use and then do your offense. So now that you know that soul charging is extremely important for this character, soul charge canceling more specifically, this is also, I should mention, the only character in the game that actually requires soul charge canceling to succeed. If other characters have soul charge cancels, they are sprinkled throughout the game, but this character is the only one that literally needs it. If you don't use soul charge cancel, you lose your frame advantage off of 6BB. So it's very important to use soul charge canceling for this character. Another reason why soul charging is extremely important for him is he has a level 1 soul charge guard crush that is mid and hits on the ground. It's crouch dash. He has a crouch dash. I didn't mention that, but it's crouch dash A plus B. This move does hit on the ground. It does hit side rollers to the left, but you can side roll out of it to your right if you're defending against it. Now, this is a level 1 Soul Charge Guard Crush. Now, what that means is anytime you're doing your offense, you're doing all that shit we were talking about, if the opponent hesitates too much and you Soul Charge cancel after a connected 6BB, you can always pressure with that Guard Crush. This is the like bread and butter for Raphael. This is the stuff that you have to know. This, as I mentioned, level 1 Guard Crush. After it connects, you have options to beat their standing up guard, which you can use Crouch Dash B, which is another key move that I'll get into, or you can do just your general follow-ups, your fakes or whatever. And this is the reason why his 3B becomes extremely important, because when it comes to damage, you need some kind of combo, and his 3B typically seems shitty, but it's a little bit slow. It has good range, but it does not launch at the tip. So look at the range on this. It's really, really good range. You can also use this for keep out. If it counter hits at the tip, it will launch, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So if you're using this at its tip range, you're going to want to try to keep out with it so you can get counter hits. However, if you're using it as a mid, up close, it will launch on normal hit, and as a combo, you can do 6BBB. Now that is air controllable by some characters, but it's very, very difficult to air control. So on average, you're going to hit with 6BBB if you use it as a combo. Now, if you're out in the open and you want to get Okizeme off of your 3B, you can use 3B, 6BB, Soul Charge, and now you're in level 1 Soul Charge, and then you can use your Guard Crush for Okizeme. This is like where it's at. This is the big... this is where you get your damage and your wake-ups. So let's say your opponent is set to block after you juggle them. If you launch them standing, Soul Charge... I fucked it up. You gotta guard cancel the Soul Charge to be able to do the Guard Crush. So you do 6BB, Soul Charge, and then fuck it up again. Hold on. 6BB, Soul Charge. Man, what the fuck is going on here? Maybe I'm not sitting up straight. Okay. So that's the type of Okizeme you're going to want to do. And when you do that, if the opponent decides to back roll, if they're holding block, they're going to get Guard Crushed. If they are not holding block, they're going to get hit because Crouch Dash A plus B, which I keep fucking up for some reason, hits on the ground. So that's going to be back roll. If they block, it's going to Guard Crush. If they don't block, it's going to hit on the ground and it's going to hit them. It's going to hit Play Dead because it hits on the ground. It's going to hit side roll to my right, which is their left. And if they are side rolling to their right, which is going to be my left, you use 3B for Okizeme. So at this point, you have 3B into basically a 50-50. Your Guard Crush is going to defeat most of the options, except for a side roll to their right. And if they are side rolling to their right, 3B is going to beat that. So, and 3B is also going to relaunch if they get up doing something stupid, you know, like attacking or, you know, I don't know, ducking, or if they fuck up. 3B is going to relaunch and put them back into the same situation. So this is the major Okizeme Vortex style rinse and repeat tactic with Raphael. It's a very, very, very effective strategy. So I highly, highly recommend, you know, becoming really, really comfortable with his Soul Charge cancel and the follow-ups afterwards. Very, very important. Moving on, I mentioned for a moment that he has a Crouch Dash. His Crouch Dash is unique. It's not like Raphael. I'm sorry. It's not like Mitsurugi's. It's not like Sophie's or Cassandra's. It's unique to Raphael. It's not like any other one in the game. Excuse me. He also has a backsway, and that's also unique to Raphael. His backsway really, really sucks. You almost never want to use it, unless there's some rare cases, and I'll talk about them later. But his Crouch Dash is extremely important for whiff punishing. So as I mentioned earlier, you are going to be keeping out when the time is right with 6B as well as 3B, which is the mid-hitting launcher that hits at the tip. And if you're using it as a keep out move, and it counter hits, it will launch at the tip. This is your primary keep out. Now, another extremely important move for when they whiff while you're keeping out is Crouch Dash B. Crouch Dash B is basically his highest damaging standard usable move. It's a mid-hitting, extremely long-range whiff punisher, and it's also many other things. This is a really important move as well. So this move is also a level 2 guard crush. So in those scenarios where I said we're mixing it up, we're using our offense, we're doing all kinds of poking, down K, we're doing throws, and then you hit with the 3B and it's a launcher, you have the option to do 6BB and soul charge to level 2. Now, when you soul charge to level 2 after a soul charge cancel, you are giving up some of your Okazemi because it's taking longer for you to get into level 2. But when you're in level 2, your Crouch Dash B is a guard crush and it reaches way across the screen. So you have a level 2 guard crush that reaches all the way across the screen. Really good for and his Crouch Dash B is also a level 3 soul charge unblockable. So you have a really useful unblockable that reaches almost full screen. And if you can see, as you can see, if you soul charge to level 3, if you know how the system works, level 3 soul charge yields you a counter hit. And if you're level 3, you're getting an unblockable, hella damage, 76 damage, just so you can get a reference as to how much damage that is in-game. Look at that shit. Look at the damage on that. That is huge damage. And it's unblockable. So, you know, keep it in mind. For a regular, when you don't do it as a soul charge, you know, it still does a ton of damage for your, you know, whiff punisher. Really good. And you get Okazemi because they faint like that. So you get the punish, you get Okazemi. You can do lots of stuff with this move. Really good. It's also, it looks very linear, but it's not that linear. So that's another reason why you can definitely use it. Really good. Let's see. So this move, I talked about how important it is. It's one of the moves that you're going to want to really focus on. Now, at this point, you're starting to notice that other than the down K, we don't have that many options that we've talked about that will beat step, that are step killers. Now, Raphael's weakness is basically that department. He can't really use moves to beat step. There are some, you know, like, for example, throws can beat step at times. Down K can beat step at times. 6BB, 6BBB, 66B, and Crouch Dash B at times will work against weaker steps in the game, like not the best ones. So to deal with other really like a lot better stepping types of characters, you can use back A, but this is only usable when it's keep out time because it has a ton of range. It turns them around on hit. Not much reward, but the range is great. It has extremely good coverage, covers just about 180 degrees in front of him. And it's very usable for this type of thing, mostly because he doesn't have that many options. This is basically, you're going to use it because of the lack of options. Now, one thing I should mention is, since it is back A, you can do it from crouch. So that means down K into back A is a very viable option for sidesteppers. So yeah, it's something you have to keep in mind. Also, I should mention he has A, down A. This isn't half bad for tracking step. Also, it makes your opponent have to block the low. It's a high-low string that is only a combo on counter hit. But it is definitely useful because not only is it going to track decently for stepping, especially to his left side, but it also has the second hit, which is going to track to the right, but more importantly, be a safe low. So this string is very important. I would use it definitely because of the lack of tracking that this character has. And it's not the best tracking tool in the game, but because the second hit is a safe low, and the string itself has decent range, you don't have to be right up close to the opponent to use it. It's decent. Not too shabby. Down A is another option you have to beat step, but it only tracks reliably to Raphael's right side. His left side is kind of left open. But again, is another option. If you hit with this string down, if you hit with this move, down K is a frame trap. So this is another move that you're going to want to use. It's got pretty good coverage. It's got coverage to his right. It's you know, it's a standard down A. It's a little slower, but you know, he's a slower character, so you know, you don't have to really be too concerned with it overall. I think 6 BB is more important than down A because of its speed, and it is a B. So in situations like if you're playing against a Yoshimitsu player and they're abusing Stone Fist into down A, into fucking, you know, all their offense is A based, or if you're playing against Shanghua player, they're doing a lot of AAB, 3A types of stuff, 6B is really good for breaking that, especially in the HD online version of the game, because Bs inherently have more breakability. Is that the right way to even say it? They are more likely to break through A's in this version of the game than ever. Ironically, I think that is a great addition to the game. Some people don't like that Bs have more advantage than they did in the NTSC version. However, for the actual balance of the game itself, it's a lot better, because in the NTSC version of this game, A's were way too strong, because step is so valuable. Step is so good in this game because you can block and move at the same time. So the natural value, because of the existence of step, lowers the value of most B attacks, because B attacks are steppable. So that lowers the value of B attacks. So in the NTSC version, B attacks were not very valuable unless they tracked, which is not that common. And the ones that do track, like for example Nightmare 66B or 3B or whatever, those end up becoming the most valuable Bs in the game. But now that the PAL version got patched, so now it has the breakability of the PAL version, but without any of the bugs, it's actually, in my opinion, the most balanced and the best version of the game ever. And that is because Bs now have gained in value, and they are able to break through A's more reliably, making it so that the A moves in the game are not overpowered, and the B moves in the game now have value over the A moves. So it's really interesting the way this game has accidentally aged into an extremely balanced and like chess-like fighting game in which there is an answer to most problems. You always have an answer to a problem in this game. It's never going to be hopeless for any character, and that's really that's something about this game's design that contributes to my opinion on it being the best 3D fighting game ever made. So that's one of the reasons why I think it's really good. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent. Let me get some water. Anyway, so moving on, the A down A is going to be one of your options for stepping. Back A is your primary option, as well as down K and standard dash up style throwing. So, let me see here. It's getting kind of hot in my room. One sec. Okay, sorry about that. Anyway, so I talked about basically his major, most important spam types of moves. 6BB, down K, back A for tracking, A down A. You know, hit confirming, all that stuff. Crouch dash B, I talked about it. Level 2 guard crush. Level 3 unblockable. You have crouch dash A plus B, hitting on the ground. That's going to be your primary Okazemi. Anytime your opponent is on the ground, you're going to want to use crouch dash A plus B, and you're going to want to soul charge it first. So this is what you're seeing me do right now. Level 1 soul charge into a crouch dash A plus B is your primary Okazemi tool. So that's really important and very good. We can move on to a couple of his unique attributes in his command list, but before we do that, I want to talk about his throws, and I want to talk about his jump moves, because those are all very important in this game. So his B throw is kind of a classic. He stabs you a bunch of times, the final stab being a ring out. I like that the second to last stab stabs you in the foot, and then you go to one knee, and then boom, knockout. This is one of the reasons why the opponent, when their back is to the ring, they have to always remember that Raphael's B throw rings out very well. This is pretty far from the ring, but I think it should ring out, yeah. Her back wasn't even all the way to the ring. You can be quite far from the ring and threaten with a ring out with his B throw. Obviously, for that reason, his A throw is going to be valuable because the opponent fears the B throw, and the A throw gives very, very solid Okizeme. So from here, if they decide to side roll, you know what you could do. You could do that. If they decide to stay down, a great option is down K because it will hit on the ground, but for the off chance that they decide to stand up and duck, it's relatively safe. And if they stand up just to block high, you're going to yield the frame advantage of down K. So Okizeme, that's basically what you want to do off of the A throw. And he has no command grabs. So as far as throws go, I mean, I'll show you his side throws just to see what they look like. And they do give decent Okizeme. But as far as grabs go, it's just about A and B. I like his back throw a lot, though, too. He skewers you with his sword. That shit is super sick. Man, they really fucked up Raphael in the new games. I mean, he was so cool in this game. He's got all these stances and guard cancels and all this stuff. And now he's just some idiot vampire. You know, the only thing I like about him is they added that Mermek the Vec move where it's a command throw that gives you your life back if you mash. I like that idea just because I like creative character designing. But man, he is so stupid now. He's like just a pathetic character. He sucks ass. He has no launchers. He's shitty. In this game, even though people thought he sucked, I think he's quite good, and he's definitely designed in a very, very interesting way. So anyway, his throws, basically nothing too special, A and B. But the B throw, you have to really remember that it is a good ring out tool. Look how far he travels, stabbing the shit out of you. Really, really good. Anyway, his jump moves. His jumping A, up forward plus A, is not very good. It does have decent lateral tracking, so it's kind of similar to his back A in that regard. But it is high, similarly to back A. It turns them around, again, similarly... Oh, shit, I almost jumped out right there. Turns them around similarly to back A, but it is high, and I wouldn't recommend it, because when you jump, you're usually jumping for a purpose, and that is to jump over lows and jump over throws. So, I would recommend using his jump K. Now, his jump K is interesting, because... his jump K has a decent hitbox. It doesn't really do much. It gives you a couple frames of advantage, and it is mid, so it's pretty good for that. The speed is also decent, and the tracking is also decent. And it forces crouch on block. It's not plus frames, but you can use his reversals afterwards. And Raphael has very, very unique reversals. I'll get into those later because they do involve his prep stances. So I'll get into that, but because the K is something that you can use to force crouch on block, you can bait them to attack afterwards and then reversal with his unique reversals. His jump B is good because it knocks down and it also hits on the ground. So this is another important tool. Most characters have one jump move that's dominant over all the other ones. This character, however, his jumping B is good for hitting on the ground, hitting mid, and getting a knockdown. And his jumping K is faster than his jumping B, but it does not hit on the ground, and it does not cause a knockdown. So, I think that both of these moves are usable for jump moves. They both do different things, and they're both important. So, you have options there. His while landing moves are actually pretty interesting as well. So his while landing K really sucks. It's just a mid-hitting kick, nothing special. You don't get anything on counter hit or anything like that. Oh, I forgot to mention. His up forward K on counter hit does not do anything, as you can see right there. However, he has a move similar to up forward K, which is back K. Is it back K? 6-6K. Sorry, they changed the command in the new game. 6-6K it looks very similar to his jump kick. So this is jump kick, this is up forward K, and this is 6-6K. Looks the same, right? But it is not the same. The frame data is different. 6-6K has better frame data. On top of that, if you score a counter hit, you get a knockdown. So 6-6K is actually a very, very good move for opening offense while jumping. So now you have 3 jumping moves that you can use in different ways. You have up forward K, which is going to be your fast, get off the ground, panic style, clutch style jump move. You're going to have up forward B, which is going to hit on the ground, be your mid knockdown style, if you are more confident in your read. And then you have your 6-6K, which is for opening up offense and beating. It's a jump move that opens up offense. So this is going to be a great tool for that. And as I mentioned, if you land a counter hit, you're going to get the knockdown. So very, very important to remember that. Anyway, while landing K, kind of shitty. While landing A is going to be your primary low for your mix-up off of while landing. Nothing too special. It's kind of just like whatever low poke is a couple frames advantage. It does ring out to my left, so that's something that you should remember. And then for while landing, for a mid option, you're going to want to use while landing B. This is actually a launcher, so really, really good. If you launch with it up close, you cannot combo with 6BB on every character because small characters fall too fast. But if you land with it kind of far, I'm pretty sure you could do it. Oh, you can't do it. What the hell? It must be small characters only. So against small characters, you're going to want to do something else. And I'm not sure what to do. Interesting. I know... what can you do? Does this hit? No. I'm not sure on the combo against the small character. I apologize, internet. I don't know what to do. What the hell is the combo? Internet, maybe one of you can give me some assistance here. I don't recall what the correct combo is off of a while landing B. I think there is definitely something guaranteed in which you can start offense. Obviously down A worked, but maybe BB? That might be a combo. Yeah, that's what it is. That was one option. BB. Anyway, so while landing B is going to be your mid option for a while landing move, and not every character has a launcher from while landing. So this is something that I definitely recommend familiarizing yourself with. Really, really solid while landing game if you think about that. So anyway, we covered throws while landing. We covered the key moves and Okizeme and all that stuff. So basically now we can move on and just... I'm going to try to go as quickly as possible because honestly, this character's move list has to be one of the shittiest move lists in the game. So you really don't need much of it. Talked about AA, requires a counter hit for a combo. A down A, also a counter hit combo. I'll give you information on moves that I think are pertinent to winning. But generally, put your seatbelt on. I'm gonna go fast through this. AB works similarly to AA, but it's kind of shitty because basically, what's the point if you have an AA which has better coverage? But it does exist, and you can use it to get into prep. So that's one thing that I can recommend using it for. To get into prep, you hold the second B, and as you can see right there, it goes into prep. What looks like prep 4. Let's see. A6, another extremely shitty move. This is what it looks like. You can, I think, go into prep afterwards. Yep, by holding the move, but it really sucks. It has a very, very high hitbox. He's shooting down airplanes with it. It also doesn't have great tracking. It also has kind of bad reward. I wouldn't use it. It's too risky. I would much rather use 6-6B and stay far away because A6 really brings you in close, and on block it's not very good, and it's a little dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it. There's something though that I never thought of trying that I just thought of trying right now, and it's a bug that exists with Mitsurugi in which he can throw off of certain moves that are 8-way runnable on recovery, and this is one of those moves. As you can see, when he recovers, if you look at his feet, you can actually 8-way run immediately after the move. So he just recovers and is already walking. While if I do another move, let's say a K, clearly the move recovers and then he starts walking. So this move is unique in that sense that you can 8-way run out of it. And I don't know if if that bug exists with this move. It doesn't look like it. So anyway, just something that I was testing. A big reason why I'm doing these tutorials, I don't know if you know, but the big reason why I'm doing these tutorials is because I'm actually going to NorCal to compete in NorCal regionals, and I'm really trying to brush up myself. So as you can see, there are a few things already that you know, I'm either learning or I'm realizing that I don't know about, and I'm getting the ideas of testing through doing these tutorials for those of you who are interested in learning about this game. So yeah, this is something that's a learning process for me as well. A6 talked about how shitty it is. Don't use it. 6A, again, very shitty. There's no reason to use this move over 6B. 6B has way more range, and it gives you a counter hit combo. And this move, 6A, though it does give you a counter hit nosebleed, it's still shitty. So don't ever use it. It sucks. 6BB, much better. 66AA, you can use it, but it's high. So just remember that. It sucks. If you use it, you could get ducked by a great opponent, and you will get owned. So I'm not really even going to talk about that string very much at all. If you are interested in the moves that I don't talk about, help yourself to his command list and explore. But I'm really going to talk about the ones that I think are important. 3A is usable, but nothing special to add here. It's very slow, but it's mid. If you need something to complement your back A, this is a mid A option. Not very good on block. I think it might be punishable by some characters, while back A is safe. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Let me get some water. Yeah, I'm only entering Soul Calibur 2. I don't even remember how to play Soul Calibur 5. I completely forgot how to play that game. Anyway, down A, discussed it a little bit earlier. You don't have much of an option as far as that goes, but it's decent. Definitely usable. I would recommend it. Not the worst down A ever. 1A, I talked about it a little bit. It will track side roll when they're waking up. It does hit on the ground, and it is a decent poke. It's a bit slow, and he does have an obvious animation for it. So opponents can't see it, but at the tip it's pretty hard to punish, and if they do get anything, it's gonna need to be Sophie or Cassandra or someone doing like a stab to punish it, because it's relatively safe. Another option you have for a low, which I mentioned, is, and it's very similar to 1A, but in my opinion better, is 1-1A. 1-1A is from 8-way run, and it does basically the same thing, but is faster without the little spinny thing. It does slightly less damage, it gives slightly less frame advantage, but it doesn't really matter because you're kind of keeping out from this range. And for Okizemi, you don't really need frame advantage, you just want to get your damage. And since it's faster, and it hits on the ground, I feel as though it kind of replaces 1A in several situations. Back A, I already talked about that move, very, very useful for tracking step. Back A is a very unique move because it is useful, but it's not abusable. The reason it's useful is because it actually gives quite a good reward. On counter hit, back A will grant you a full launcher if the angle allows for it. Otherwise, I think against big characters you can do crouch dash B. Against big characters you can do that. Otherwise, you can get a 3B. So let's see how that looks. This move also, back A also, I didn't mention, it has a sidestep built into it. So let's say you do sidestep up, back A, you're going to get double sidestep in that direction. And once you land the counter hit, as I mentioned, I haven't shown you yet, you should get a full launcher. But because she's a small character, it may not work. Wow, I can't believe it doesn't work at all against her. This character's so cheap. There it goes. If the angle is right, 3B will launch. And for that reason, I think that this is valuable because it has that built-in sidestep, it is an A move, and it has reward on counter hit. So, on occasion, it's not a terrible idea to, you know, stick out a back A, you know, even in your poke out or during situations where, you know, it's a scramble. Back A is definitely something that is worth considering. Also, don't forget that it moves Raphael to the left. So against moves like Nightmares 3B, which does not track in that direction and is a very, very telegraphable move where you can often see it coming. This is going to be a great tool for that because it's just going to whip right around that and, you know, deal with it. So yeah, it's worth mentioning. Decent tool. A plus BA. This string really sucks, but it's good for Okizeme because if the first hit hits, all of the hits are guaranteed on the ground. So especially at the wall or something, if the first hit hits a grounded opponent and there is no circumstance making it so that they can tech, like for example at an angular situation at the wall or whatever, if that's not the case, you can use all three of those hits as Okizeme on the ground and they will all connect if the first hit connects. And that's really, really useful. So it's basically one of those moves that is only good for one situation, and that is Okizeme. Otherwise, super, super shitty. There's no mix-up for the low at the end, so it can obviously be GI'd. The move itself also has putrid range. He almost goes backwards for the first hit. As you can see, it looks like he goes backwards for the first hit, which sucks. So yeah, not that good of a move. 6-6 A plus B, another relatively shitty move, extremely linear. This character does kind of lack launchers, so he doesn't have very many options for launchers. So you may gravitate towards this move thinking, well, it's a launcher, I should use it, but this move sucks terribly. It is extremely linear and slow. It does not reliably hit on the ground side rolling. It is just no good. I recommend you don't use it. It is guard cancelable, so the guard cancel is something that you can use to induce hesitation, but the move itself is just way too risky for the reward. I much prefer 3B. It does similar damage, it has way longer range, you can use it in way more situations, it's faster, it hits on the ground, beats side roll to your left, and on clean hit or counter hit at the tip, you're going to get a launcher, and you're going to be able to apply all that great stuff I talked about earlier. So really, 6-6 A plus B is kind of a piece of shit. Not that good. Down forward A plus B is your knockdown low, but it's so linear and so shitty and slow that, you know, I wouldn't use it much at all. It's also not safe. Doesn't track side roll. It's really not very good. I mean, you can use it. You can use it. But it's not tournament winning low. It's seeable by good players, and it's dangerous. So, and it's also linear. I mean, opponents will accidentally make it whiff all day. Down back A plus B is a auto GI. I'll show you what it looks like and what it does, but I think it sucks. I mean, why would you use this over any other safer? Look at the size of this whiff. It also goes into prep stance, or if the GI succeeds, you hit B and he does this 100 hand slap thing. It looks really cool, but the reward is extremely low for the risk. So this GI's A attacks. It's down back A plus B, and then you get that as a natural combo afterwards. So it's not that bad. It is a pseudo just frame getting the last hit. The way to do the last hit is to hit B at the right time. You can mash it, but you have to mash it quite hard to land that last B. And it does good damage if you hit the last B, but I still think it's not worth it compared to other things he has to deal with offense. It just looks really cool. However, you know, not his best option for defensive countering or parrying or reversaling. I'll get into his good shit later. Anyway, Quick Parade is the 100 hand slap thing that I just talked about. Back A plus B is another move that really sucks except for Okizeme. The reason I say it's okay for Okizeme is if the first hit hits on the ground and there is no, again, nothing like an angular wall pushing them away from the second hit, then the second hit will also be guaranteed, and it does decent damage for ground hitting. It also will track side roll to his weak side as far as side roll goes. So you can use it if they're side rolling to your left in addition to 3B. So that's the only use for this move. I think this move sucks. It's also not even a natural combo. It requires a counter hit to combo. So not very good at all. I really, really don't like it. But if it does combo, you get a guaranteed single hit on the ground, and then, of course, you could take the Okizeme. Moving on, up forward A plus B is another auto GI. Basically does what it looks like it's doing right now when it succeeds. It really sucks. Not much reward. Similarly to down back A plus B. Also, it goes into prep stance if you hold it. But it sucks. Back AB is his unblockable. It's extremely useless for an unblockable because it is really long in terms of startup and very, very linear as well. So, but it has good damage, and you never know. You never know where you could use it. I don't know. For post GI, I guess you could use it. It's guard cancelable. That's one thing you could use it for. You know, to start your offense. It's gonna be post GI though, I think, if you're gonna use that. Not that good. Moving on, 6AAB. Oh, it's 8-way run, 6AAB. This is, at least the first 2 hits are a natural counter hit combo. If the second hit hits, I believe the third hit is a combo. And, let's see. 6-6-AAB. 3-3-AAB is a different move. So, okay, that's all I have to say about that. 6-6-AAB, kind of shitty. Don't use it. 3-3-A... I think there's a soul charge cancel here. Okay, so 3-3-A is soul charge cancelable, which raises its value as a move slightly, but still not that great of a move. Very low reward, not much on hit. 3-3-AA is high, does not combo, and it does not jail. You need a counter hit to combo with that. So pretty solid for that, not too bad. As I mentioned, it is soul charge cancelable. Now, the way to do this soul charge cancel is a little bit different than the others. Usually, you're going to do 6BB and simply hit A plus B plus K afterwards to get a soul charge. For full crouch 3AA, again, similar. Full crouch 3AA and then just hit all 3 buttons together and you'll soul charge. However, this soul charge cancel is a little unique. The way you have to do it is you have to do 3-3-A, do not let go of the A, and then hit B plus K. This is the way to manipulate the soul charge cancel to come out. If you let go of the B and just hit all 3 buttons, you will continue with the string, which is dangerous. So the way to soul charge cancel this move is to hold the A and then hit B plus K after. Anyway, moving on. 2-2-AB and 2-2-AA are usable strings. I'm not going to talk too much about them because there isn't a lot to talk about because they suck. These are those moves that you can use them where you want to use them, you know, to apply your personal style, your own, like, autograph to this character. I should mention 2-2-AB is very, very good damage on counter hit. That's really solid damage. And I think it's safe. So, it's okay. It's a little slow, you know, not the best shit. It's mid. I think it's safe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I rarely use these types of things because they're slow and they can get you in trouble. You should really focus on sticking to the stuff I talked about in the beginning of the tutorial. I feel like I keep emphasizing that, but it really is essential to at least my method of, or my opinion of how you have to play him to win. I've seen lots and lots of Raphael players in the past, and you know, it really is what you have to do to win with him. You cannot deviate too much from his useful tools. Very similarly to Nightmare in this game. Back A, talked about that. What's 3-3-A plus B? That's a shitty move. No need to even discuss it. This move, talked about it. Shitty, nothing special. Back AB, that's his unblockable. These are just alternate ways of doing the same moves that I've talked about. Full crouch 3A, I talked about that earlier. Not bad. 3AAB, these are the strings involved. I did mention there is a soul charge cancel. So keep that in mind. While standing A is a high while standing move. It's not terrible because it does track to his left side. So down K while standing A is something that the opponent will not be able to sidestep if they're deciding to go right. And it's a frame trap on hit, so pretty decent for that. But otherwise, it's a high move, so be careful. While standing A plus B is another high move. It's pretty good for tracking. It's not terrible. It does a nice chunk of damage as well, but, you know, whatever. Not too much to talk about here. It's just an option for tracking. His BB is very, very good. It's good for keep out. It's good for wake ups because both hits hit on the ground, and if the first hit hits a grounded opponent, the second hit is guaranteed on a grounded opponent. So it's very, very good for that. It also has good range for a standing B, though it's slow. You know, you can use it for that type of a keep out move. I should also mention up close, this move has very, very mild tracking. The first hit tracks mildly to your right, and the second hit tracks mildly to your left. So for that reason, it becomes more usable. Oh yeah, I can see Beal mentioning in the chat that while standing A plus B will land a DOS break on counter hit, which is what makes it valuable after a down K. He's right about that. However, value of a DOS break is not like, you know, it's much better to get a DOS break in Tekken than it is in this game, because you can DOS break out of it and then jump, and you will beat a lot of options. Let's see. One thing I just remembered that I want to talk about for his crouch dash B. I guess I'll talk about it when I get to it, so no big deal. 6B, I already discussed this string in detail earlier in the tutorial, so you can check that out. What is this? 6BB into that. That's whatever. I don't really use that. It's 6BB into the canned version of that auto GI. That would only work if they you know, if they decide to retaliate immediately with an A or something. It's usable, but really you should focus more on 6BB on its own. Let's see. 6BBB. 66B, very, very useful tool for opening offense. It has a very large hitbox, so it won't get sidestepped too easily. If you hold it, it goes into what I believe is prep 3. No, sorry, prep 4. His prep 4 is basically the most valuable version of prep stance. Prep 4 gives you access to his crouch dash B without doing a crouch dash, and that's really why it's the most valuable, because it has a damaging move out of it. So 66B into prep 4B is really, really solid. It's very hard to beat. It's like a frame trap. Really, really effective. And if it hits, you guys know it does a ton of damage. By now, I already mentioned it. It does a ton of damage. So 66B is really good for that. 3B, I talked about it as keep out, ground hitting, great for Okizeme, counter hit launcher from far away, natural launcher from up close. Follow-ups open up your Okizeme for your crouch dash A plus B game. Follow-ups also include lots of shit. It's really good. Talked about it earlier. Down B, decent for Okizeme, hits on the ground relatively fast, but not much to talk about. 1BB, talked about that. It's delayable, hits on the ground. If the first hit hits grounded, the second one will be guaranteed if you don't get interrupted by some kind of angular problem at the wall or whatever. This will be a non-delayed combo on a grounded opponent. Back BB, I think, is really shitty. Unfortunately, because the second hit could be good if the first hit, the second hit, if you charge it, it becomes a guard crush, and it's so slow though. It also becomes a normal hit launcher, but it's not usable, unfortunately. Back B is semi-usable because it's got really long range and you could do it from crouch, but back B, not very usable because so linear, so slow. Opponent can do a lot to deal with that move, so not that good. Back B, another move that I don't really use very often. Some might use it, but it's very linear, very slow. Not my favorite. 66B, talked about that. 33B is a very interesting move. It's a mid-hitting move that doesn't do much on normal hit, but give you frame advantage. But on counter hit, it gives you a pretty good knockdown. So if you're using 8-way run and you 8-way run something, this is generally one of your better 8-way run punish moves. It's okay. Long range, mid, as I mentioned. Knockdown, you could get a free hit combo. I think the best combo is probably A plus B A. Let me double check it. Oh, maybe not against her. Then the next best combo would be back A plus B. That doesn't work against her either. Let's see here. There is a combo for this. I don't remember what it is. Maybe it's crouch dash A plus B. I don't know. I'm not sure what the combo is. You can check that out. Supplementary material. But it's okay. It's not terrible for its speed and range and reward. Mostly because you don't really even have any options. Down down B is an interesting low. It has a built-in sidestep depending on which direction you do it in. So 2-2B will give you a sidestep to the right. 8-8B will give you a sidestep to the left on the one player side. It's a weird low, kind of interesting. If you score a counter hit with it, they fall to the ground, and as far as I know, that's a combo. You have to position yourself right, I think, but you get that toe grab stun, and you get a free hit on the ground, and the hit that you do really is dependent on what you like to do with this character, because none of them are going to be a lot of damage. So it's a matter of what your follow-ups like to, what you like your follow-ups to be. That's 2-2 and 8-8B. 1-1-B-A B is a really shitty string. I don't like to use it. It's dangerous, just like all his other shitty strings. They're all dangerous. So, check it out. You might like it, but I don't love it, personally. Anyway. While standing B, very, very important tool, especially because down K is so good. So down K while standing B obviously will be a frame trap. Down K while standing B both hit on the ground as well. So if you hit a grounded opponent with a down K, you have an option for another ground hitting move, which is while standing B. So really good for that. Pretty effective. Full crouch down forward B is a low option that has great range from crouch. It's extremely linear, so remember that, but it also goes into prep stance. So that's pretty good if you want to use it that way. Moving on, 6-6K. I talked about this move already. Very, very valuable because it's a low crushing tool that advances and it should be used to open up offense as opposed to focusing on using it for a low crush. Using up forward K, which looks very similar to it, is much better for a low crush than 6-6K. But 6-6K, however, I think it's faster. And it also gives you a knockdown on counter hit, while up forward K does not give you a knockdown on counter hit. So that's the difference between the two moves. Now Raphael has a ton of kicks that all just suck. 6K is one of them. It really sucks. It's high, doesn't do anything. I'll mention the ones that do something. Down K is a very, very important one. I talked about it. 1K, I already talked about this move. Very, very important for poking. Hits on the ground, good for Okazemi. So pretty solid for all that. Back K is a high crush that does yield a stun on counter hit, in which that is a guaranteed combo. However, it is very hard to use this move. It high crushes, but it's high itself as well, and the angle of it is absolutely terrible. Some characters like Talim, or even characters like Valdo, or characters that are evasive, this is just so hard to hit them with. He's shooting down fucking airplanes with this kick. What is he pointing it at? His opponent is right in front of him. I don't know what he's pointing this kick at, but it's very hard to use. It has a high crush, as I mentioned, so if you really have a read on a high, you can use it to beat like an AA. But yeah, the reward is there for this move, but the utility is not there for this move, so I don't use it very often. However, that is a combo if it hits, and it's very, very good damage on counter. Moving on, back K, a very, very useless, shitty move. Basically doesn't do anything. It does ring out, I think. I'm gonna double check it before I move on, but it's really kind of crappy. Yeah, it rings out. You can also do this move from a prep stance. But again, it's high and super shitty. So another one of his garbage moves. Yeah, it has a built-in, as far as this says, crouch dash afterwards. But if you ask me, it's not even really built in. It just kind of looks like you do it afterwards. I mean, fuck. Okay, standing K has a built-in crouch dash afterwards just because I do it afterwards. So I don't know what the fuck that's all about. But 3-3K is another version of his 6-6K. 2-2K is an interesting move because it has the reward that I like, but it's more usable as a in-close tracking move that gives you reward. So his 2-2K, I believe, gives you a free launcher. Yeah. So that's really good if you land a counter hit. Down down K is solid for that. One of his few effective high kicks. He has a ton of high kicks, but this is really the only one that is valuable for using. The reward is there. The coverage is there. It's useful. Let me get some water. All right. Let's see. While standing K, another shitty move. However, there is something I will mention about this move. While standing K looks very similar to standing K. So this is his standing K, and this is his while standing K. They look extremely similar, but while standing K is mid, and standing K is high. So this is something that you can use to confuse your opponent if you choose to implement this style in your gameplay. That is something that definitely exists for him. But, you know, they're kind of shitty. These are all his throws. I already showed them to you earlier. The only one that's really important is, the only concept to remember that's really important is that his B throw rings out very far in front of him. And because of that, the opponent will always be breaking B, and therefore your A throw becomes valuable because it has good okizemi. So that's basically the throw game for him. Now, the last thing that we're going to talk about is his miscellaneous category, which will cover his stances, and what I think is much more important than his stances, which are his counters, his reversals. So those are really, really important. So anyway, let's get started with this. These are his counters. His A plus K basically has this whiff animation like this, and during that it's a parry. This parry, I'll show you what it looks like when it succeeds. It's based on move height. So it's most parries in this game, they are based on move type. So a parry, a reversal will be, let's say, only Bs or only As or only horizontals or only verticals. This move does not work that way. This move works on whether they did a high, mid, or a low. So A plus K will beat mid and low moves. Let's start with a mid since I'm talking about A plus K right now. A plus K will beat mid or low attacks, and B plus K will beat mid or high attacks. So both of them will beat mids. That's one thing that you should keep in mind. If you beat a vertical mid, that's what he will do if it falls into this active window of this parry. You can also do 2 in a row, which makes the active window even bigger. You can't do 3 in a row, but you could do 1, 2. That's kind of canned in. 1, 2. If it succeeds, you do that sidestep, and he says some shit like no good or too slow or whatever. And when he does that, you're going to want to always hit B afterwards. And this is the reason why. You'll notice that because Sophie is a small character, the second B is whiffing at times. That is true. That does happen at times. But it doesn't matter because it's way worth it. Because the reward of this is a natural combo, which is unique to this parry. That move that you're seeing me do after the parry is similar to his Prep 1 B. Sorry, is it Prep 1? Anyway, it looks like 6-6-B, right? It looks like 6-6-B, except 6-6-B into Prep stance. What, man? I always get his stances confused. Prep stance 4B is not a natural combo off of 6-6-B. So this into this is not a natural combo. Never. It's not a natural combo. It's not even a counter hit combo. It's never going to combo. However, though it looks the same, the version of that move that comes out of his parry is a natural combo into the big hit afterwards. So let's do the attack again. Oops. That is a natural combo. The opponent cannot block that if the first hit hits. So his reversals are extremely good and valuable. As you saw there, if you evade something, right, and they did a follow-up string or attack and you get a counter hit with that follow-up attack, it knocks down. And it's still a combo, and you get even more damage because the knockdown gives you another hit. So this is extremely, extremely important for this character. You should always do the B afterwards because the reward is huge. It's a natural combo, and it's really, really cheap because he has these prep things, these reversals. What are they called? I'm done calling them circular envelopment. Okay, stupid name. So if you're using circular envelopment, I'm just gonna call them reversals. If you're using these reversals, they have a really large window. So you don't have to really time them the way you have to time a GI. And you could just visually see that they worked, and boom, look at all that damage you took from her. So really, really great, effective reversals. And since you have the options with A plus K to beat mids and lows, and B plus K to beat mids and highs, it's really, really effective. Now, the fucked up thing is I cannot have the opponent do a low. So I can't show you what it looks like to beat a low, which is ridiculous that this doesn't have that in practice mode. But if you beat a low with this, you basically jump in the air, and then you can follow up with the same follow-up. So it's really, really good. I will, however, show you what it looks like when you beat a high. So he'll dodge under it. He doesn't do the sidestep. He dodges under, and then you can do the same follow-up. So if you land that counter hit, I mentioned, you'll get the combo anyway, and it'll spike. If you don't land the counter hit, it's just like that, and it's going to do a ton of damage, and you get a free hit afterwards. And this is just really the most useful thing with the character. If you have good reads, boom. This counter is super, super valuable. Lots of damage and very, very useful. Anyway, so that's his counters. I really, really suggest you familiarize yourself with them because they're so unique to him and they're so good. Huge active window, really, really good reward. It's not like a GI or something where the opponent can escape. If it works, and it's going to do a ton of damage. So that's why it's very valuable. Moving on with the move list. Crouch dash A into B is very shitty, but usable. I wouldn't recommend charging the second hit, though it does become a guard crush because it's so linear that the opponent can step, and the only risk they have is blocking it in the end. If not, it will whiff. So very, very dangerous to use it. You can use the first hit because it's a mid-hitting, jumping A. But it's so slow and the reward is so putrid that, you know, I wouldn't even recommend doing that. Crouch dash B, way more valuable. Moving on, crouch dash B. I talked about this move a lot earlier. It's extremely important for whiff punishing. It's a lot of damage. It's a level 2 guard crush. It's a level 3 soul charge unblockable, doing a ton of damage. If it hits, you get a free hit or Okizeme on the ground. One thing I did not mention about this move that I think it's very important for is, as I've talked about in the past, jumping is very, very good in this game. And for those of you who follow my matches as far as tournaments go, you will notice that I am jumping like crazy. I jump all the time. Anytime I don't know what's going to happen, I jump. And for that reason, you should focus on finding what your character's anti-jump move is. Raphael's anti-jump move is crouch dash B because it spikes to the ground if they jump like that. So if they jump in the air and you use crouch dash B, you will give them an untechable spike knockdown, which yields a free hit. So very, very good for beating jump in a game in which not very many things truly will beat jump. So really, really effective and important. And one of the reasons why I think I overlooked him as a character in the past, because, you know, there's weird things about the character that might give you an advantage. You know, if the wall's nearby, you can do a lot of damage with this. Something like that. That's a combo. You know, it's really, really effective for beating jump. And it's a very good move anyway. Safe, good whiff punish, etc., etc. So, you know, solid shit. I really, really think this is probably his best move combined with 6BB. Crouch dash B, 6BB. It's like, by far, it's his fireball and dragon punch. I mean, you need it, you know. Crouch dash K, very shitty. It does basically the same thing as his down forward K. Down forward K, for some reason, I didn't talk about it earlier. I don't know why. I did already talk about the Ks. But the only thing worth mentioning about this move is that it slightly jumps. So if you time it right, you will beat. It's like a shitty can without the first can. Only one can. But it does jump in the beginning. The reward is putrid. Nothing on counter hit. Nothing on regular hit. Very, very crappy. But keep in mind at the end of the round, or when there's a clutch situation and you're both almost dead, and the opponent is going to just do some kind of I'm scared down A, boom, this will go over the down A. And if it doesn't go over the down A, it's still a very fast mid-hitting poke for killing your opponent. I would recommend it for that. End of the round, going for the kill. It has the added bonus of jumping in the air. I think it's pretty solid. He has a back sway. The back sway, I think, is very shitty. It does have a low option afterwards that has a very crappy hitbox and is not very usable. It's also shitty on hit. On counter hit, you get some frames on it, but not very useful, again. He has a back sway into a B. You can use this as a GI, because if you do a back sway and then hold it, it will GI B attacks. And you can use it as an instant GI by doing an instant buffered backsway into it. So this move comes out of backsway like that. And if you don't hold it, it's just a stab. So backsway B is just a stab. If you hold it, it becomes an auto GI stab, but it's slower. And it beats Bs. It'll auto GI Bs. And you don't have to let the crouch dash come out. You can instantly do it like I did there. So you can use this move as like a auto GI for Bs, especially Bs that are canned. However, I don't like to because it's a lot of risk. Very linear move. Bs are generally high damage, so if you're going to take a heavy risk with, you know, a move like this, it's very dangerous. Too linear. Getting some water here. These tutorials really fuck up my voice. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I don't do like singing. I gotta do like public speaking voice exercises. It's really true. I actually have to do real voice exercises for public speaking, you know, people who do that. I didn't do it before, but it's something I'm gonna have to look into, because man, my voice gets so fucked up doing these. Anyway, backsway has a K. It's decent, but you unfortunately cannot do it instantly off a backsway like the way you can do a backsway B. This would be quite good because the kick itself has a very decent hitbox, and it has tracking. The problem is that you can't instantly do it out of a backsway, so you have to do the backsway first, and that means that it's very shitty. Basically, it becomes too slow to be valuable. I would recommend backsway K if you're trying to ring out over backsway B, because you have to really hold that shit, and backsway B will only work as a ring out if you're going to GI something, and that's really risky. Not a very tournament style minimalistic strat, if you ask me. So your call. Backsway can also link into a crouch dash. So that's an option. If you do a backsway and then you're like, oh, he fucked up, boom. I would recommend using this option if the backsway made something whiff over any other option out of backsway, because this is big reward and knockdown. So really, really usable for that. Let's see. Now we're going into his prep stances. Prep 1 is, I think, what we're going to talk about first. It's kind of overly complicated and shitty. So I don't really want to spend too much time talking about these stances because they're very complicated and they're not even useful. It's just a novelty. This is what Prep 4 looks like. Why is it showing me Prep 4 right now? It's weird how the move list is laid out. Let's start with Prep 1. So, what the fuck? This move list is written out so weird. Not making it easy for me to do a tutorial. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and not call them by their correct names because I don't give a shit about these stances at all. The only reason I'm even talking about this is because I would like this tutorial to be complete. What I've talked about thus far should be enough to get you where you need to go. The stances are usable, but not very effective. First, we're going to talk about the one that comes after 6B, if you hold the B. This is what I'm going to call Prep 1, because I think it's Prep 1, based on my memory, but I may be wrong. Prep 1 gives you the option for an A, which gives you an auto-GIing backsway. That auto-GIing backsway will beat A attacks. Once that happens, you have the option to do an A follow-up, which sucks. So, don't do it. You also have the option for a B out of this, which looks very similar to the backsway B and functions very similarly. And you have, those are basically your options for the A follow-up to Prep 1. Prep 1, also I should mention before I even get into the moves of this stance, the way prep stances work, this one is unique because you can move backwards one step. As you can see, he's taking one tiny step backwards. All other prep stances automatically move you forward. Like that. They all move you steps forward. You can't move backwards. But 6B is the only one that lets you basically stay in the same spot. Prep 1, I mean. So now that you know that, you have the options to go into his B out of Prep 1, which if you hold will go into Prep 2. So that's really good. But man, I mean, all these stances suck so bad. You're just gonna lose. I mean, what are you even using these stances for? The only thing it's good for is when you've already established that you've done tons of stuff with 6B and 6BB. Then every once in a while you can use it. But really, it's like you're basically the only reason to use his stances is because you're tired of spamming. And if you're tired of spamming, you're not a winner. So I'm sorry to break it to you, but only losers use the stances. I mean, that's the hypotheses I just got to, right? You don't have to be the Hardy Boys to solve this mystery. I don't love them. I don't love the stances. When you use them, you're just fucking around, in my opinion. I know some people may disagree with me, but yeah, it's not that good. Not that good. But anyway, moving on, I'll show you what the moves are out of the stances. I like this one out of Prep 1, Prep 1K. Because it's a jump attack. So even though you're committed to doing a move, you know, it's like, at least I'm in the air. Fuck it. You know, whatever. Nothing good about that. Oh, you can also sidestep in these prep stances, but they're so shitty. The sidestep sucks dicks. It is like so slow. It does not sidestep very well. And he looks like an idiot while he's doing it. So really don't want to use these at all. Let's see. Off of the second Prep 2, which is this one, he has the same A option, which is that. He has that mid option, and he has that K option. So, off of Prep 2, you have those options. None of them are good. Off of Prep 3, you have the same A option again. You also have 6A, which is another shitty option. You'll notice that his stances are just riddled with tons of shitty moves. So you have 6B, 6A, a shitty move right there. But it also goes back into prep if you want to use it. But man, you can't get away with this stuff. Good players are just going to pick you into pieces. and make you pay if you use these stances. Just want to show you guys how they work. He has the B out of that, which is the most important one out of all of his prep stances, which is prep B into B. That is by far the most important and most usable move out of his stances because of the reward and utility of this move. It's out of prep 3 and 4 give you this option for a B, like that. Really, really good move. Let's see. Yeah, and I noticed Socrates saying more moves is better. I totally agree with that. Even though this move list is longer than it needs to be and shittier than it needs to be, the moves need to exist so that your opponent at least has a lot of things to think about. So a move that, let's say, is high that does not jail is a shitty move that you don't need to worry about using. However, it exists. So it's something that your opponent has to know. And the more things your opponent has to know about your character, the better. You have a larger arsenal of tools. Doesn't matter if they're useful or not because they exist. So, you know, moves like that, you know, his 8-way run shit like I talked about. These are all moves that you can use, but they're just not going to be super, super effective. I completely agree, though. Let's see. Moving on to other shitty moves that this guy has out of his stances. What is this? Oh, yeah. He can do back A, which does a canned version of that. Again, tons of risk. Very little reward. You're stuck in stance. Super shitty. All these things are going to be crappy as well. Yep. None of them are good. All that stuff was crappy. Basically, this entire miscellaneous section, with the exception of Preparation 3 and 4B, which is what looks like his crouch dash B, with the exception of that single move, his entire stance concept is shitty. I would highly recommend ignoring it and focusing more on his auto, what it was? Enveloping, whatever the fuck it was called, circular envelopment. These are very, very useful. You do have to use some aspects of his stances out of that, but basically you're just using the built-in version of Preparation 3 and 4B. Other than that, you're going to want to focus on all the things I talked about earlier. His primary game, 6BB, and all of the stuff attached to it with soul charging, counter hit confirming, mixing in things like throws afterwards, using down K to open up offense, using the frame advantages off of down K to repeat and spam it, using 6BB and back A off of it, while standing A off of it, while standing A plus B off of it, to keep your opponent from moving around in close. Back A for homing, while landing B is your launching mid-hitting tool that hits on the ground. You have lots of options for Okizeme. The stuff that's unique with this character, as I mentioned, is all the soul charge stuff. More specifically because of his usable soul charge 1 guard crush, which is mid, hits on the ground. Very, very solid for guard crush opportunities. And overall, you're going to want to try to keep out with 6B, back A, 6B, and whiff punish with crouch dash B. I mean, it's a very simplistic character that has a lot of depth and potential, but you have to kind of have a trained eye to seeing what you should and shouldn't use. Because to the untrained eye, you have this long list of moves that are just putrid and shitty. And if you waste your time with them, you'll find that this character sucks. And you will find that you won't succeed. This is basically what happened 10 years ago with this character. Everyone thought, ooh, look at this nice move list filled with all these interesting moves. Let me try to use this character and use all the moves. They eventually realized, well, this character has a ton of shitty moves, and his stance sucks, and he sucks. And they abandoned him. But that is not necessarily the case. He does not suck. It's just you have to have a very spammy, rinse and repeat style of mentality with this character. He doesn't have a lot of options, but the options he does have are very good and unique. So Yeah, you'll find one of the big problems with him is that people say, oh, he doesn't have good lows. But his best low is sitting right in front of you. It's the generic down K because of the big frame advantage on hit, which is very unique in this game. So hopefully you guys learned a thing or two about this character. I think it's very interesting how this game has evolved. I mentioned earlier in this tutorial that the newest version of this game, which is the post-patch version of Soul Calibur 2 HD Online, which is based on the PAL version, the newest version of the game took out a ton of bugs, but left in the priority of Bs breaking through As that the PAL version had. And in this game, that is a very, very good thing. So they took the best part of the PAL version and left it in, and they took most of the busted stuff from the PAL version and they removed it. So the current version of this game, again, is in my opinion the best version of this game ever. And that is because characters like Raphael now have more value in their B attacks, because the Bs themselves will break more commonly through As. So it's really interesting how this game is evolving and how it's changed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tutorial and learned a thing or two about Raphael. I think he's a very, very interesting character and very fun to use. Really, really cool. Beating people with a character that was considered to be low tier is very satisfying, and it's very doable with this character. So hopefully I've helped you out on your journey to learning how to play this character. That just about wraps it up. I have not looked at flowers yet today, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, internet, you guys chomp on this commercial, and I will be back to chit chat with you guys or answer any questions you guys have about this game or this character or NCR or anything else going on. I guess I'll be back in a few minutes. So you guys chomp on this commercial, and I'll see you guys in a bit.